You know, when I finished, just my luck, all my papers just fell. When I finished the last episode, I did not know that episode 116 was the last episode of season 1. Because we were on season 1, disc 4, episode 116. And I had assumed that since there was a disc 5, that there would be at least one more episode on disc 5. But there wasn't. That was the end, because disc 5 is just special effects. And I have to tell you, these colors are horrible. Whoever decided on these fluorescent colors is just horrible. But anyways, now this is one of my favorite seasons of the show. So we're going to favorite episodes of the show. We're also going to point out it's in purple. But the episodes are also out of number order. They were aired 20, 21, 17, and 18. They were aired this way, so that's the way we're going to do them. But the 37 is my favorite episode. And oh, by the way, welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina, KRSTINA. This is where we read books, talk about books, no special effects, no theme music, none of that fancy stuff going on here. And if you could please hit the like and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. I'm always forgetting to ask. Other channels are like, before we get started, please hit the like and subscribe. I always forget. So before we get started, hit the like and subscribe. So here we are, season 2, Purple, episode 120. The 37th. One of the better episodes, one of my favorite episodes of the series. And if you haven't been here before, out of all the Star Trek's Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, all of them, Voyager's got my favorite theme song. Of course, I can't sing or hold a tune either, but that's besides the point. I wish I could play it through the whole thing, but I can't. So anyways, where's... person came with no remotes. Hold on. I didn't know this, or I didn't remember from the first time I played. We won't do it now, but maybe we'll do it in a second version. But they have a special text trivia version. So I'm going to turn it off for now. But maybe we'll do it in a future episode. If anybody's interested, let me know. So, apparently Kim has picked up some anomaly. Rust? That's right, Captain. High levels of ferric oxide, corroded iron particles. Would you mind telling me how iron could rust in space without oxygen? I wish I could. Mr. Paris, alter our course to follow the trail of the rust. 1/4 impulse. Aye, Captain. So, Kim says he's picking up complex hydrocarbons in the rust. Benzene, ethylene, and acetylene. Paris says it sounds like gasoline. Chakotay says gasoline. I don't know why they make Chakotay blurry. But Paris says it's a liquid fuel that used centuries ago on Earth. They burned it to drive internal combustion engines. Janeway's like, how did it get out here? Tuvok says, I'm detecting a small object. It appears to be the source of the rust in hydrocarbons. Put it on screen. So that's what they see. An old car. It looks like a matchbox. Apparently, it is a ground vehicle for mid-20th century Earth. Paris says it's a 1936 Ford, actually. Mr. Paris, that was the manufacturing date, 1936. Ford was the name of the company that built it. Antique vehicles are a hobby of mine. Um, he opens it up, steam comes out. Internal combustion engine, a reciprocating piston cylinder design. Fuel source was a refined petroleum, gasoline. So this is an early Hoover car? No, you're about a century too early for that. This one is one step ahead of a horse-drawn carriage. Taurus says traces of potassium nitrate, ammonium, and methane. I think you'll find that's manure, horse manure, if I'm not mistaken, judging from the mud on the wheels and the aphrodite seedling stuck in the metal frame. I'd say this vehicle belonged to a farmer or at least someone who lived in a rural area. But the question is, how did it get here? I doubt there are many 20th century farmers driving around the Delta Quadrant. Tuvok says no signs of any wormholes or temporal anomalies in this region. Let's run a metallurgical analysis of the vehicle. Paris, there's still oil in the crankcase, water in the radiator. I wonder if the battery's still charged. Now let's see. This was before voice command. Activation should be something here called a key. This is them when Janeway's telling them that it's horse manure, that it used to be on a farm. Paris starts the truck, it backfires. Everybody ducks for cover thinking they're being shot at. And then he turns on the radio. Well, first, Janeway says, next time you might give us a little warning, Mr. Paris. Aye, Captain. I suggest we increase the ventilation in the cargo bay before we are asphyxiated. What's that? That's an amplitude modulation receiving device, AM radio. Not sure we'll pick up much out here. And he turns it on, and they get an Earth distress call of SOS. Dot 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 dot. Yeah, B'Elanna runs it through the computer, and she says it's an ancient Earth distress call, SOS. Kim says, I've located the source of the SOS. It's coming from the third planet, Class L, oxygen atmosphere. Any life signs? There's a great deal of trinific interference in the upper atmosphere. I can't get a clear reading of the surface. Can you pinpoint the coordinates, Chakotay asks. Yes, it's coming from a continent in the northern hemisphere. Chakotay says we won't be able to transport through this kind of interference. I might be able to take an away team in a shuttlecraft. So Chakotay wants to take the team on the shuttlecraft, right? And Chakotay says that would not be wise, Commander, as the atmosphere is charged with trombonic turbulence. A shuttlecraft could not safely navigate the currents. And then Janeway. We could land the ship, Janeway says. Are you sure that's necessary, Chakotay says? Someone on the planet is sending out a distress call. If that someone is as old as the truck and the cargo bay, they're long dead by now. This might be an automated distress call. Possibly, but something brought that truck halfway across the galaxy, and that something might be down on the planet. And if it brought the truck here, it might be able to take us home, Chakotay says. Janeway says, I'd say it's worth a look. Mr. Paris, prepare the ship for landing. Captain, I think I should tell you, I've never landed a starship before. That's all right, Lieutenant. Neither have I. Bridge to engineering. We're going to land the ship, Miss Torres. Take the warp core offline. Vent all plasma from the nacelles and stand by to engage atmospheric thrusters. Aye, Captain. touch the old zapper there. This is Lieutenant Tuvok to all decks. We're preparing to land the ship. Go to Blue Alert and report to Code Blue stations. I've plotted a course, Paris says. How close do you want to land to the distress coordinates? No closer than 2 kilometers. Okay, atmosphere controls at standby. Landing mechanisms online. Inertial dampeners at maximum. All decks report condition blue, Captain. Janeway, put her down, Mr. Paris. The descent is a little on the bumpy side, and Kim says we're having some EM discharges. Oh, look! Voyager has landing gear. Do you think they should have moved over a couple feet? There's the rock right here, and the ship's right here. You think they're a little too close? Janeway tells Paris snap bad for a beginner. I still say they parked a little close to that mountain. Isn't it pretty? All nice and purple. So, we're on the planet. We're out on the ground. Janeway says, nice day. Kim says, I've locked onto the distress signal. It's 1.5 kilometers on a bearing of 246. Wait a second, I've got something else. There's a high concentration of titanium particles bearing 225, a little over a meter away. Looks like some kind of power source. Janeway says, 2 teams. Chakotay, yours investigate the power source. Tuvok, Kim, you're with me. So I just wanted to show the 3 of them together. And Janeway says, my God. Oh, look. It's a plane. An old plane. 1940-ish kind of plane. Tuvok says, the metal is an aluminum alloy. It appears to be an ancient Earth aircraft. Kim says the SOS call is coming from inside. So he goes inside and looks. I found the AM transmitter. From what I can tell, it's sending out an automated SOS. What about the power source? Somehow I find it hard to believe the battery on this aircraft has been running for 100 years. I don't recognize the power signature. Hold on, Captain. I found what appears to be an alien fusion-based generator. It's hooked up to the AM transmitter. Chakotay to Janeway. Go ahead. We've located the source. We've located the source of the trinanium readings. It appears to be some sort of mine shaft. I'd like to bring out another security detachment before we go inside. Janeway says, good idea. Janeway tells Tuvok and Kim to analyze the alien generator, then see what they can find out about the SOS call. And then, I'm not going to show it right now, but they are being watched by some people in black. So they go in. This looks like some kind of crisis crostasis chamber. How many bodies are there? Torres says 8, and the equipment is still functioning. Janeway starts wiping the stuff out and discovers that they're human. And from the clothes, I'd say he's from the same area as the vehicle we found. Then they find an Oriental guy. His life signs are reading minimal, but he's alive. Chakotay says, Captain, according to these readings, there are 5 other crisis chambers nearby. No life signs in any of them. This appears to be the only one with people inside. There's another male over here. This one's female, Janeway says. So they're uncovering all the different people, I don't know why they don't use their sleeve or get a tissue or something to wipe all the cold away. And Janeway says, This one's female. She's wearing some sort of leather jacket and a pair of gold wings. Wait, there's a name tag. It's EARHART. EARHART. Amelia EARHART. Ta-da! So then we're up in the briefing room. Who's Amelia Earhart? Kim says. Janeway says she was one of the first female pilots in Earth history. In the mid-20th century, became quite famous for flying across the Atlantic Ocean. In 1937, she attempted to fly around the world. According to records of the time, on July 2nd, 1937, Earhart and her navigator Fred Noonan took off in New Guinea, and they were headed east around the equator, but somewhere in the South Seas they vanished, and their disappearance has become one of the most celebrated mysteries of the 20th century. Why didn't they think she just crashed? That was the most common held theory, Janeway says. However, numerous searches of the area failed to produce the wreckage of an aircraft, so people began to speculate. Some thought she'd been shot down and captured by the Japanese Navy. Others thought she and Noonan had flown off together on some sort of romantic adventure. Of course, the most ridiculous notion was that she'd been abducted by aliens. And she goes, of course, the most ridiculed notion was that she'd been abducted by aliens. And Chakotay says, well, it certainly looks like that's what happened. From what we can tell, all 8 of the people in the stasis chamber were taken from Earth in the 1930s and brought here. Kim says, the question is why, and where are the aliens who did this? Scans of the region show no alien life signs. Janeway says, continue the scans. They may not be here now, but once they detect our presence, they might return. In the meantime, we'll have to get some answers on our own. Have you had any luck tapping into the computer system in the cryo chamber? Not yet, Tuvok says. We're having difficulty decoding the operation system. There's one way we could find out what happened, Paris says. We could wake them up. I've had the same thought myself, Janeway says. Taurus says, is that wise? We don't know how these people are going to react when they wake up in an alien world in the 21st century. True, but I'm not willing to leave them in stasis for another 400 years. And if we can find out how they were brought here, we might be able to use that method to get home. We'll just have to be very careful how we handle this. Chakotay says, I suggest that only human crew members be present when we revive them. Agreed. Mr. Kim, I want a complete analysis of those cryostasis tubes. Find a way to deactivate them safely. Aye, Captain. Commander, appraise the doctor of our situation. Tell him to instruct Cass in the proper procedure for reviving someone from cryostasis. She can be made to look human enough. In the meantime, I suggest we all brush up on our ancient Earth. We're about to meet a bit of our history. So Paris puts this stuff up along all the chambers, and then Paris says, all the cryotubes are linked by human power source, so we've decided to revive everyone simultaneously. Janeway says, proceed. The power's offline, Kim says, deactivating locking mechanisms. Dry ice pours out. They get hypo sprays to Kim and Paris. Disarm the guy to be on the safe side. Paris takes the Japanese soldier's gun that gives him the hypo, while Kim revives Amelia. Cass does Noonan and the farmer. They start to wake up. Janeway walks up to Amelia and smiles. Shortly thereafter, everyone is awake and Cass is scanning them. So, Janeway says, I know this must be very strange for you. Who are you? What's going on here? I demand you release me immediately. Please, if you'll just listen for a moment, I'll try to explain. Who are you? You all speaking Japanese? Sounds to me like you're all speaking English. That's because we have a device, a universal translator. It allows us to talk to each other even though our languages aren't the same. Who are you people? Amelia asks. Hayes says, let us just go home. Won't tell anybody. The hell we won't. I'm going to tell the world what you have done, so you know who you've kidnapped here. Amelia Earhart. I'm her navigator. This is going to be headline news. You people are in trouble. Fred, let her talk. What I'm going to tell you is going to sound hard to believe, even preposterous. We think you were abducted from Earth in the 1930s, brought millions of miles through space to a planet on the other side of the galaxy. You were put into a deep sleep for a very long time. It's not the 1930s anymore. It's 2371, over 400 years from the time you were abducted. You must think we are awful gullible. Tell me, what's the last thing you remember before waking up here? We were over the Pacific, running low on gas. We were looking for an atoll to sit down. We tried to send out an SOS, and suddenly there was a huge light in the back of us, and the plane stopped dead. And when it started moving backwards to the light, I must have blacked out, and I woke up here. That's just what happened with me, Hayes says. I was in my truck heading to town. I was just about to get into the blacktop when this big light comes down from the sky, then just blinded me. Next thing I know, the whole truck is being lifted off the ground. I believe what happened to you was that you were abducted by aliens, and we can find out how they got you here. We might be able to get back to Earth. And then Noonan starts some trouble and takes out his revolver. They didn't frisk everybody. Noonan's like, I want some answers now. He takes out his gun. He's pointing at everybody. You come down here and get those funny little guns of theirs. Cass, you get over there with the others. What's this? It's a medical device. I'm trying to make sure that everyone is all right. Now, how do we get out of here? Chakotay to away team. Janeway here. Captain, I'm picking up some energy displacements. I think it might be alien humanoids. It looks like they're using some kind of deflection system to trick our senses. I think you better get up here. Noonan's like, who's that? That's Commander Chakotay on our ship. Commander, huh? Okay, now hear this, Commander. There's a gun pointed at your lady's head right now, so you call Washington. Noonan, you can tell them we're holding your people prisoner and we're not going anywhere until I personally talk to J. Edgar Hoover. You got 1 hour. Captain? Janeway says, it seems we're being held hostage, Commander. I suggest you pay attention to what the gentleman says. Understand? Janeway. Amelia is trying to use her compass and she can't get it to work. Janeway says, I know what you've been told sounds hard to believe, but there was a time when no one believed that a woman could fly across the Atlantic. Now people are able to travel between the stars. The galaxy is full of many different species. For instance, this woman isn't Tess. She shows Amelia Tess's ears. And Amelia's like, I've traveled the world. People do all kinds of stuff to their body. So she doesn't believe her by showing just that. And she says, that doesn't mean, what does she say now? That doesn't mean Martians have invaded Earth. And Kim says, actually, it was the other way around. Mars was colonized by people from Earth in 2103. Noonan says, that's enough, all of you. Get over here and sit down. So everybody arms up. They're gonna surround the area as best they can. And Noonan's got his gun and he's got his flask. And I'm wondering, how can the liquid in that flask be still good after 400 years? And how come they're not hungry or gotta go restroom or any of those situations or want to sit down? They've been standing for 400 years. Their legs must hurt like hell. Let me try to talk to Paris talks about, Captain, we could probably rush him, get that gun. Let me try to talk to EARHART first. She seems reasonable. Maybe I can get through with her. Miss EARHART, I know you've always been an inspiration to me. Because of you, generations of women have become pilots. Generation, what's your name? Catherine Janeway. I heard the commander call you captain. What exactly do you captain? The Federation starship Voyager. Starship. That's supposed to mean it flies through space? That's right. That's impossible. Only in books. H.G. Wells, Jules Verne. Maybe if you saw it, you'd think otherwise. Saw it? Where is it? It's outside. Oh, there's a little group huddled in the corner. I have no interest in harming you. I assure you we took you out of stasis to help you. Amelia says, put yourself in my shoes, Captain. If you were me, would you believe your story? Maybe not. Let me tell you some of what happened after you disappeared over the Pacific. No trace of you or your plane was ever found, in spite of a massive search. Over the years, there was a lot of speculation about your flight, including the rumor that it was financed by the government and may have been part of an operation to gather information from the Japanese. Where did you hear that? It's common knowledge. You see, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor in 1941, drawing the United States into a massive world war. In retrospect, your journey was seen in a different light, perhaps as part of an intelligent mission devised by the government, deeply concerned about Japanese war plans. No one was supposed to know that, Amelia says. So Noonan's like, I've got an idea. Let's put him in these things. Mr. Newman, that will accomplish nothing. Please let us take you to our ship. You'll see that everything we've told you is true. Show me how to operate this thing. Amelia says, hey, the last time I looked, you were working for me, and I think we should listen to these people. They may just be telling the truth, and what's the harm in seeing if maybe they do have this starship? Beats being cooped up here trying to figure out what happened. How about it? Anyone want to come along? And I wouldn't mind a look. Anyone else? You're not leaving me behind, Noonan says. Cass and I will stay here with the others, Captain. It'll take about 10 minutes to get to the service. Stay close to Mr. Kim. So the security comes out of the ship, and they come under attack just as the people come out of the ship. Out of the cave, sorry. Oh, and Amelia's guy, Newman, gets shot in the crossfire. So Janeway goes around back and sneaks up from behind them. And he says, you're not Priori. And she goes, no, I'm human. And they do this. Then he accuses them of working for the Biori because they have ships like Janeway does. And she says, no, we're not, but we've got wounded. Can we take care of them first? And he's like, okay. So, the doctor says, severe trauma to the thoracic cavity, lacerated carotid artery. He's not going to make it. I wouldn't be so sure of that. Vascular regenerator. He's not responding to treatment. The alcohol level in his blood is so high, it's inhibiting the repair of his circulatory system. Attempting to compensate. I told you your drinking would kill you one day. Now she's right, Doc. Just let me die in peace. And he's like, he thinks he's on his deathbed. And he actually almost proposes to her. And the doctor fixes him 100% completely. So they're in the briefing room, and he's all upset that they've stolen the 37s. Tell me more about the 37s. Are you one of them? I'm one of their descendants. The 37s were brought here over 15 generations ago by the Biori. Who are the Biori? They're an alien race. They abducted over 300 people from Earth in the year 1937. Brought them over here, turned them into slaves, but these slaves revolted, killed the Biori, took their weapons and their technology, and survived. Now there are over 100,000 of us. Biori never came back. Now answer me. Why did you steal the remaining 37s from the shrine? We didn't steal them, we revived them. Revived them? They're dead. No, they were simply in a state of what we call cryostasis. It's a form of sleep that appears very much like death. You mean they're alive? My people have come to regard the 37s as monuments to our ancestors. No one has even entered their shrine for generations. Mr. Evansville, we're hoping to find the ship that brought your ancestors here because we could use it to get back to Earth a little faster. I'm sorry, the Biori ship was destroyed in the slave revolt. There's nothing left, Captain. I'm sorry to hear about your long journey home, but you should know that life on this planet is good. We live in 3 beautiful cities only 50 miles from here. I would like to see your cities. I would like to show them to you. So then Amelia's on the ship. How fast can she go? 4.9. In your terms, about 4 billion miles a second. Think I could take her out for a spin? And then Janeway walks in. Mr. Evansville has offered to take us on a tour of the settlement. He's extended the invitation to the entire crew and the 37s. And he meets a 37 for the first time. Open, speaking, breathing. He's like, oh my god, you're a 37, and you're alive and breathing. Have they fed these people yet? They should have allowed them to change, have a shower, some food. I'm just saying. You don't actually get to see the city. But Captain Stardate 48975.1. Evansville wasn't exaggerating when they said they have a lot to be proud of here. It's an amazing experience, but it's left me a little disturbed. So Chakotay talks with Janeway. Is something wrong, Captain? You seem a little distracted ever since we came back from the cities. Weren't you impressed? A little too impressed. What do you mean? There's a thriving, sophisticated culture on this planet of human beings. In some ways, walking around their cities was almost like being back on Earth. It was a little eerie. It reminded me of home, too. Evansville has offered to let any of our crew stay. What will you do about that? Maybe this is one of those decisions that the captain has to make for the tired ship. You may have a problem if a lot of people want to stay. I know that. But at the same time, I can't take a vote every time there's a major decision to be made. And yet, we're a long way from Starfleet, and a lot of the rules and regulations I've learned to uphold seem distant as well. Am I the only one who's so intent on getting home? Is it just me? I'm leading this crew on a forlorn mission with no real hope of success. You're not alone, Chakotay says. I want to get home too, and there's not a day that goes by I don't want to hear someone mention Earth. The people here have built a new Earth. We could stay, help them build a human civilization in the Delta Quadrant. Isn't that exciting prospect? Shouldn't we be grateful for the opportunity they're giving us? It's a tempting prospect, Chakotay says. But when I hold it up against the prospect of seeing the sun rise over the Arizona desert or sweeping in the Gulf of Mexico on a summer's day, there's just no comparison. I want to go home. We have 152 men and women on the ship. What happens if half of them decide to stay on the planet? Could we operate Voyager with 75 crew members? I doubt it. In fact, I don't think we could operate the ship with fewer than 100. If too many of the crew choose to stay behind, we could be stranded here. Tell all hands to prepare for an announcement from the captain at 1400 hours. They deserve to make the choice for themselves. Aye, Captain. So Neelix brings them over food. Finally, they're getting food. Here we are. My research on the 20th century is a little thin, but I've done what I can. Pot roast, green beans, and something called Jello. You know how to make Jello? I even put in fruit cocktail. You don't say. I don't know about the rest of you. I've made up my mind. There is land here that goes begging, and I could have a big farm just like I always dreamed of. And for you, a little rice with fish. I even replicated some ginger seasoning. He says, thank you. I have to admit, life here looks a lot better than what we left on Earth. It's a paradise by comparison, and there are many Japanese here. I could be happy. We all could, right? I'm not sure. What about you, Mr. Neelix? Have you made your decision? Oh, yes, indeed. I'm staying right here with Captain Janeway. She'd be lost without me. She'd come to depend on me a great deal. What about the rest of the crew? Do you think many of them will stay here? Oh, I don't think, at least not many. Well, that is, there's a good chance now that you ask. I honestly don't know. So then Kim and Torres are talking. Um, you'd stay here on the planet? I didn't say I was going to. I just said I could understand why people would want to. The people here remind me of home. I haven't felt like that since I left Earth. But you're Starfleet. You've always wanted a life in space. I know, but my whole life on a starship day after day with no end in sight, that's not exactly what I had in mind. You're not the first person I've heard talk like this. A lot of people are thinking about staying. What about you? Don't you have some of those feelings? I'd be lying if I didn't. So Amelia and Janeway have a talk. I wanted you to know that the group you brought out of stasis, we've all decided to stay on the planet. I understand. I must admit the thought of traveling through space, maybe even learning to fly this ship, was very appealing to me. And I'd look forward to getting to know you better. I suspect we have a lot in common. At first, I didn't know what to do. We talked about it for quite some time. Finally, I realized the people here on the planet are part of us. We're their ancestors in a way. It made us feel close to them. The remarkable thing about the humans on this planet is that they've evolved very much like the people on Earth. Tens of thousands of light years apart, both civilizations managed to create a world they could be proud of, where war and poverty simply don't exist. I certainly can't blame you for wanting to be part of it any more than I can blame members of my crew if they make the same decision. When will you find out? In about a half an hour. Anyone who wants to stay behind is to report to the cargo bay at 1500 hours. And then Chakotay and Janeway are walking to the cargo bay. I expect Jarvan will stay on the planet. In fact, I bet on it. Why? He's been more uncomfortable being on a Starfleet ship than most of Marquis, and he got involved with a young woman in quantum mechanics. I think they'd like to settle down and raise a family. The person I expect to see is Baxter. Walter Baxter, he's adventurous, a risk taker. I can see him wanting to take the challenge of building a new life on this planet. I'd hate to lose Baxter. He's a good man. I'd hate to lose Jarvan. I don't want to lose anyone. We've all been through so much together. It wouldn't seem right, but I couldn't blame anyone for staying behind. They stand at the cargo bay doors, afraid of what's going to happen once they open those doors. It's completely empty. Not even a shuttlecraft. Tuvok says, Captain on the bridge, and they all stand up. All stations prepare for departure. Condition blue, Mr. Tuvok. Ms. Torres, anti-grav thrusters online. Thrusters enabled. Mr. Paris, inertial dampeners to flight configuration. Impulse drive to standby. Yes, ma'am. All stations report ready, Kim says. Then let's do it. And they watch them go. And that's how the episode ends. Ah! So that was the end of. So that was the end of the 37s. That was beginning of season 2, disc 1. Next week we'll do 121. The next week then we'll go backwards to 117, and then we'll go to 118. I hope you'll stay tuned and have a good day. Bye.